This lesson, I want to show you how to create a table using PHP code. So I'm also going to cheat a little bit, so I'm just going to advise you that because we created in phpmyadmin, I have the ability to actually see the SQL query that created that table. So if you go down here at the bottom, you've got this thing called a console. So if you click that and open that up, I can actually see all of the queries that have been entered in here. And we can see that the last one, where we create a brand new table, we've got all of that information right there. So make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. So essentially, this is the query that we can use to actually make that table. So all we have to do is copy that out and use it in our PHP code. And of course, we can't recreate another table with the same name. They have to be different names. So this gives me the ability to edit it. So if I wanted to create another table really quickly, I could just do something like this and copy this out and either paste it in the SQL here, or again, I could copy and paste this out into PHP. So let's get back into our PHP code. So we've done our connection here, and I'm going to save this as a setup file because, again, we're not going to want to keep recreating tables within our PHP, but maybe we want to use setup if we've got a bunch of files that, or if we're moving over our website and we want to be able to do like a one-click kind of setup functionality. So now I've created a new file setup. I've got my database connection that we looked at earlier, how to connect that and run that, and I can get rid of this code here. So now all we need to do is set up our SQL query. So usually I like to just do something like SQL. Of course, you can name the variable whatever you want to name it. And so I want all of my contents to be contained within here. And as I said, I am going to cheat a little bit because we're going to go through more how to do queries in the upcoming lesson. So essentially, I do have my create table information that I copied out of the previous one, and maybe I can call this table 2 or something like that, so that we do have something different. So this is my SQL query. Essentially what this is doing is create table. So that's the function that we want to run. And then this is the table that we want to create. So table name that we're creating. And then these are the values. So we want to create an ID. It has to be integer 11, not null, auto increment. So we see here that we've got some additional attributes that we didn't actually see within the phpmyadmin, but these are defaults. That not null is default, and auto increment is something that we actually did set when we checked off that primary and auto increment. So going back over to here, when we created this table, and I'm going to hide this console actually, we see that our null is no, so that's not null. We see that we've got our type integer, variable character, and we've got our extra auto increment. So all of these are included within the attributes there. So same thing, first we have variable character, size of it, not null, last variable character, not null, age, integer 3, not null, and then here's where we set that primary key. And then of course just the engine that we're going to be using, and this is it. We're all set and ready to go. So the next line of code, all we have to do is execute that query. So we do MySQL I query, and now we have to specify what variable we use for the connection. So we use con and then the query string that we're going to be using. And of course we could just run this by itself, but I usually like to have something happen so that we can see if it's been successful. So I'm just going to type in successful, table made, and then I like to do an else. So if I throw any errors or any issues or anything comes up, I'm going to do echo failed. So this is if we don't actually create our table. And of course, we could just run this query by itself here. We could just take out this function and just put it over here and run it, and we'd create our table as well. So now let's go into our local host, and we'll go setup.php, and table successful table made. So that's outputting our message, and we can go into the phpmyadmin and check out if we've actually made our table. And there we've got test2. So this is the one that we've created, and really easy to create once you've got that PHP code ready to go. And again, like, you could do it either way. You can just fill out all these values, or you could set it up in phpmyadmin. And then if I do this again, it's going to try to create that same table name, so it's going to return back failed. And this is one of those things that I like to include, because I don't always want to be able to have to shift over to localhost, check if it's made the table. I want to have a setup file that I can run, runs through, creates all the tables, and I'm ready to go. So now we do have a table that we can work with, and in the upcoming lessons we're going to show you some more SQL interaction and all the really cool things that can be done with it.